Good evening, councilors.
Good evening.
This evening, we continue the Finance Committee review of the budget. We are now in session after recessing last evening. The first portion of this evening is hearing from residents who registered in advance to come into City Hall and be given an opportunity to address you regarding the proposed fiscal year 2022 appropriations. I want to take a couple of minutes and tell you how we arrived at the process, particularly for those who may be watching at home. The pre-registration and the allocation of 3 minutes per speaker was done obviously before we knew how many people we might have coming into City Hall, and it was also done consistent with Governor Charlie Baker's emergency order regarding remote meetings. This is a policy from the City of Cambridge where they call for pre-registration of persons who wish to address the council, and also the Massachusetts State Legislature uses pre-registration and a 3-minute limitation on speaking for their committee meetings. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I checked the web and the Joint Committee on Education is holding a hearing on gifted children legislation and some other matters. Pre-registration was required along with the 3-minute allocation to each person. That provides a fair, consistent, uniform approach so that no one can say later on, well, that person had 10 minutes and this person had 6 minutes and this person only had 3 minutes. So that was the genesis of what we're doing. It was done in consultation with Legislative Counsel and the open meeting law regulations from the Attorney General's office. So we will prepare to hear from residents and a visitor. There are 10 of them, and hopefully, is there anyone who does not have this sheet which the clerk's office generated?
I don't.
You don't, Councilor Rodriguez?
No. Where is it?
We'll see you get one. Hold on a minute.
Anywhere there?
It's up on the right there. I put it on your desk.
No, you didn't.
Right there.
No, you didn't, because it's
Okay.
right here.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone has the list? All right, with that, Madam Clerk, would you call the first person on the list?
Oh, boy.
Jeannie Holmes Corrales of 65 Belcher Ave.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be appearing before the council and being here in person. It's been a long time in coming, so hello. The FY22 budget proposed by Mayor Sullivan is far, far too high and is going to negatively impact the residents and businesses in this city come December when the tax levy is done and further into the future. At this time, when so many in the city are struggling financially to pay their bills, particularly their rent and mortgage, it is incredibly unfair to raise the budget even $1 above FY21 budget. But Mayor Sullivan has chosen this route. As you know, you have the ability to stop his runaway train, lower the budget, and represent and protect those that voted you in to do your job. Every year, and particularly in election years like this, you do a little dance with the City Council where you do minuscule cuts to the budgets, and then come December, when people's taxes are going up, you say, well, how is it this is the most difficult thing that I have to do? Well, you don't have to do the difficult thing in December if you do the right thing today. And that right thing is to lower this budget. You either need to take a long look at each department and item, including requesting additional time to do that, or cut it straight across every department 10%. Failure to do so is unfair to the residents. Mayor Sullivan said on May 3rd that you would have the budget early. He failed to live up to that commitment and put your backs against the wall by giving you a budget on May 28th. He knew on May 3rd that these hearings were going to begin on June 7th. He said so. But nonetheless, he gave you 4 business days to fully review, digest, research, and do all the network necessary on this budget. His behavior is not only disgraceful, but speaks volumes for the lack of respect for each and every one of you, for the lack of respect to your own time and the work that you do for your constituents. You have the power to stand up to that behavior and insist on an extension of time to decide this budget as permitted by law. This additional time would allow you to look at each request, each department, and make the appropriate substantial cuts where they're appropriate, and then make less substantial cuts in the departments where appropriate. If you don't do that, then the only action is to take a 10% reduction on every single department across the board. To touch on two specific departments, the library. You have a library director who has been paid, who has done very little work. He has failed to provide library services that other cities and towns have been provided. Despite his dismal performance and lack of service as required, you have been given a budget that is inflated in order to give him a raise for his poor work. The clerk's office. You have a bloated budget with hundreds of thousands of dollars added. Your ad hoc committee was supposed to meet and publicly report back as to what the needs of the clerk's office was. The ad hoc committee met twice and has failed to complete the assigned task. Nonetheless, a budget is being presented that fails to take into account what was supposed to be publicly presented. Despite all of that, you call Mr. Cruz the...
I'm sorry, the time for the lady has expired, but we thank you for coming in and offering your comments. If you wish to email to the council additional information, please do so. On Monday evening, we will have a special council meeting, and so the councilors will have between whenever you submit something to Monday evening to consider your comments.
I'll submit it tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes.
Madam Clerk, the next on the list.
Bree Nichols, 16 Bunker Ave.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So on today, I have two things that I'd like to ask to the council as it relates to this budget. As it relates to the tax assessor. So first, I'd like to ask for the council to facilitate a public hearing to increase the public's understanding of the Department of Revenue's certification by requesting a public consultation with both Stephen McCarthy and Kate Scopoletti to discuss why is there no report available that describes the scope of review, findings, observations, and recommendations from DOR's certification and review process, as well as I'd like to ask for the city to invest in software that can generate a user-friendly report for the tax assessor to conduct reviews on data changes to verify the accuracy of data changes are within established tolerances. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms. Nichols.
Madam Clerk?
Mike Smith, 290 Summer Street.
Mr. Smith isn't here yet. The next one is, though.
All right, why don't we, if there's no objection, we'll go out of order, and we'll do number 4 and then return to number 3.
Elizabeth Lasso, 99 Armiston Street.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Elizabeth Lasso. Thank you for the opportunity to present my questions to the City Council this evening. I am looking for more substantial information and clarity on how the public funds are being spent to show the transparency. For example, many of the roads in Brockton are in need of being repaved. There's supposed to be a list from the DPW of all the roads and streets that need to be repaved, which were all recommended by this council. And there's no list to be seen. There's no list that has a street and a cost to redo them. There's a list of streets that have been already approved for 2021, but that's not out there to be seen either. So we have no idea which streets have been chosen and how much it's going to cost to repair them. Also, is there a document of streets that have been repaved with an estimate of what it was going to cost to repave them versus how much it actually costs to repave them that can be used as a future forecast for planning and moving forward? Next, Brockton received COVID-19 funding. How much money has the city received to date? How much has been distributed? How much still remains in that fund? How many businesses and residents still need funding? Why is this information not readily available to the public or included on the budget? On page 68 of the budget, the Planning and Economic Development has an overall increase of 31%, but why is the ordinary maintenance services being increased by 662%? I watched the budget meetings all week long, including the one until 11:15 on Monday night, and this was never mentioned by anybody or clarified. The mission statement in this year's budget states that the city wants to operate with transparency. Yet so many details are left out on these issues I mentioned and on many other issues within the budget. This should be a detailed, informational, readily available to the public. It's our tax dollars that are paying for it. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you to speak tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Lasso.
Mr. Cruz, has Mr. Smith arrived? All right, we can proceed to Mr. Smith, Madam Clerk.
Mike Smith, 290 Summer Street.
I thought that's what she said, I'm not sure.
Good evening, councils. My name is Mike Smith. I'm here tonight to address an issue that concerns me and a lot of residents. This issue affects the entire city of Brockton. Why is our first responders receiving the calls for dirty needles when they have other tasks at hand? Yes, these needles do need to be picked up, but these first responders have way bigger responsibilities. But we're finding these needles in parks and cemeteries, neighborhoods and schools. This is the same reason why janitors got $14,000 extra in their hazard pay starting back in 2016. These needles should be retrieved for those being the supplier. Why isn't a treatment center like BAMSI, Cope Center, who's not only supplying these care packages, which this is what I picked up today. You got a crack pipe, Narcan, alcohol wipes, cooking pans, tie-down wraps, copper scrubber, 10 needles, baking soda, no treatment brochure, no needle disposal box whatsoever. These are the people that are responsible for handing these out. Yet when we do these cleanups, the park cleanups, these needle cleanups, this is all we're finding, is this whole entire kit. My question is, why isn't there a hotline for BAMSI? Because seeing how BAMSI is also being funded by the state, why can't they put some of these funds towards transportation to come pick these up? I get why you can ask probably why this is part of the budget, but this is also part of public safety. This should also be part of the public safety budget, and I'd say the listed in that area. I also believe that there needs to be funds put towards the educating of the residents, especially our youth, whether it's towards the programs, events. We could do events, say at locations like the Shaw Center, just to educate these residents. We could also share in the knowledge with other facilities out here for treatment centers. They could share their knowledge. But we can also bring up the champion plan and promote that as well. Problem is with these discarded needles, the safety aspect is there, which is the hepatitis and a chance of an overdose, because there's residue still all over these needles. I worked with different groups doing these walk-arounds with these needle pickups. Groups like Archangels, who never ever received as much credit as they should have got. You can't say I don't have sympathy for those dealing with struggling with the addiction and drug abuse. I funded Sober Society Showcase, which was helping get people in treatment.
Mr. Smith, your time has expired. However, please feel free to email the city council with suggestions, recommendations, and we would appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Rochelle Pamphile, 615 North Montello Street.
Thank you guys for being here today. I'm Rochelle Panfield, speaking from 615 Montello Street.
Sir, if you want to take off your mask, it's perfectly all right.
Sure. All right. So pretty much, I want to go straight to City of Brockton's objectives to achieve the mission statement, which is 1, 2, 3. So many things is wrong in here. I don't even understand. There's a lot of promises, and then there's nothing specific. There's no promise. There's nothing that, with these plans, especially with C and letter under 2, responsiveness. C is just saying a lot of things that Brockton wants to do, and there's no backup plan. There's nothing that's stating that how effective it could be. And on top of that, it's saying that cities, where are we? The city commits to doing policies, and there's nothing specific, you know? It's just a bunch of words, and I don't understand why this would actually go out from, you know, for something that's really important as far as diversity and inclusion. And on top of that, in the City Hall, and what does it say? The City Hall will create policies and prioritize responsiveness. If there's something that needs to be created, why are these policies not already here? And how valid are we supposed to, you know, trust the city to do these great things we're supposed to expect? So that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Penfield.
Madam Clerk?
Jamal Brathwaite, 18 Parkview Lane.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamal Brathwaite, and my public comment pertains to the $160 million of the Brockton fiscal year 22 budget, which is sourced from the property taxes that are determined by the Brockton tax assessment process, which for years now has been unfair and inequitable. My request is that prior to any vote on this budget, can the City Council President, Winthrop Farwell, request from the Brockton tax assessor a population list of all properties that received a tax assessment reduction in 2020 and 2019, so the City Council as a whole can review this list to determine if further action is required to provide assurance to the public that Brockton has a fair and equitable tax assessment process. The city budget does not need to be approved until June 28th. Therefore, if you issue this request tomorrow, the assessor will have 2 weeks to put this list together. If this list cannot be obtained, then the City Council should request that money be earmarked to pay for software that can generate this report as soon as possible for review. Transparency is government's obligation to share information with citizens that is needed to make informed decisions and hold officials accountable for the conduct of the business of the people. Let's see here. Now, in December 2020, we had a public hearing where the tax assessor confirmed that he does not conduct any reviews to validate the accuracy of data changes on property cards. He also advised that the Department of Revenue does not have sight of the property card. He advised that they do not provide a written report to confirm that the DOR scope of review, what the review was, and is that, and as well as what he advises that there's some certification that they receive. Well, certification will be in the form of a letter or an email. He said he has nothing. A certification would identify what was your scope of review, what were your observations, what are areas for remediation. And the chair said there's no report. Now you, as our fiduciary persons on behalf of the city, we're now asking for you to obtain this list of properties that received a tax assessment reduction so you can review it, understand it, and determine how the tax assessment process should be improved, if at all. I have a documented list of recommendations here. I'd like to add to the public record, which was given to John O'Donnell as well as Troy Clarkson, that advises the internal controls that are absent as it pertains to the Brockton tax assessment, which, from what it looks like, it's never existed. So if you would like to take this, it's yours for the taking. That'll be all.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Brathwaite. I'll take one.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Number 9.
Number 9, this is, all right. Mr. Spencer, is it?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, all right. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you guys for affording me the opportunity to speak. I just want to second everything Jamal just said, but I'm here on behalf of about 300 future minority owner-operators in the cannabis space. We're, like I said, I'm representing them. We're here sacrificing to secure the lives of the future of our future generations of our families, and we want to. We want to have the ability, obviously, to be owner-operators in the city and municipalities across Massachusetts, right? I would encourage members of the City Hall, especially Mr. Moses. I spoke to you, I think, last year via email. I told you that I wanted to open a micro business, and we're going to depend on social consumption businesses to be successful. So I encourage Brockton and also other municipalities across Massachusetts to be open to opting into this concept if you truly believe in the growth of your community. All right? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No one else?
That's it?
Is Clarissa, Mr. Cruz, is Clarissa, yeah,
Clarissa.
tongue-tied, Clarissa here? No. And how about Mr. Sheridan?
That hemp seed guy is that Sheridan Broadway.
Markovich?
Well, why don't, let's give them a couple of minutes because the presiding officer would like to take a quick 2-minute break, so we'll be in recess for 2 minutes.
What about the Alexander person?
Councilors, we're back from recess. Mr. Cruz, would you officially report, do we have any of the remaining people who registered in the waiting area? We do not. All right, then I'm going to declare that part of tonight's meeting, the hearing of comments from residents, closed. Councilors, we now proceed to a review of the budget, and if there are any amendments which a councilor or councilor wishes to make, that can be done. You would offer an amendment, it would be voted on. If it successfully passes here, it would go to Monday evening. We would have to vote Monday evening as a sitting city council to adopt that amendment. There is a form that needs to be filled out, which I believe has been distributed to everyone. And as you make, if you make a motion to amend the budget, just make sure that that's properly filled out, and if you need any assistance, Mr. Claxon, if you have to approach anyone to help them with the form, please feel free to do so. So with that, councilors, it's up to you. Who seeks recognition? Anyone see? Councilor Rodriguez, we've closed the public portion of the meeting, and we are now proceeding to a review of any amendments to the FY 2022 proposed spending plan. Any amendments? All right.
I have a couple, but I need some additional information on it.
Okay, well, and keep in mind, councilors, as I said, you can offer amendments this evening. You can also offer amendments Monday evening. So it's really up to you, your preference. Before you came in, Councilor Rodriguez, I know you know this, an amendment tonight would be voted on. If successful, we would still have to vote on it on Monday evening. So if there are no amendments this evening, then I would ask for a motion to recommend the budget favorably to the full city council on Monday evening, again with the caveat that you would still be able to offer amendments if you wish.
Motion to recommend the budget favorably back to full city council.
Second.
That's okay. I was
All right,
gonna,
There has been a motion made and seconded
On the budget, on the motion,
yeah, that's.
Tina.
on the
No, I was
motion.
just gonna say that I need some time to think it over.
That's fine. All right, would the clerk please call the roll? This is a motion to recommend favorably to the full city council for our Monday special meeting.
Shirley Azak,
Yes.
Tina Cardoso,
Yes.
Dennis Ianeri,
Yes.
Winthrop Farwell,
Yes.
Jack Lally,
Yes.
Rita Mendez,
Yes.
Thomas Monahan,
Yes.
Susan Nicastro,
Yes.
Moses Rodriguez,
Yes.
Jeffrey Thompson.
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
Yes.
The motion has, to recommend favorably, has passed. If there is no further business this evening,
Can I just have a moment?
you may, yes.
So I'd like to thank the public for being involved. I think that we're making great stride to having more folks participate in this process in this city, and I'm very excited for the people who came in today, for all of those who sent recommendations and emailed the counselors. I want to thank you. That's what it's about. We're here to represent you, but we need you to be involved as well. So thank you for everyone that participated. This is not an easy process, and I do agree with a lot of the folks that came in tonight that more time is needed to go over a budget of this magnitude. I don't believe that the time that we were given is enough time to really do a deep dive, but we did get a lot of the department heads gave us some really good information, and we got a lot of information from the public. So I think taking the next couple days to really think about the budget and coming back with, you know, some good ideas for how we can move forward on Monday will be really great. So thank you, and thank you, Mr.
You're
Chair.
welcome. And just for the benefit of the public, there was mention made about abatements to real estate taxes. You may visit the city website and the Board of Assessors page, and you will notice under Documents and Forms, there is a list of 2019 abatements. I did not see 2020. It may or may not be there, but it certainly will be posted. Councilors, we also received an email from a gentleman who wanted information about hiring and diversity, particularly within civil service departments. And I do think it would be beneficial from an educational standpoint from the public if one or more of you would file a resolve to have the fire chief, the police chief, and the city solicitor come in to describe what we do with civil service positions for police and fire. The hiring process, the examination process, the background checks, the physical agility tests. It is a complicated, but it is a very comprehensive screening for those positions, and I don't think the public really, unless you had a particular interest, the public is not going to know about that. So I would encourage someone to file that resolve for either July or August, and we'll have a new fire chief. He can come in and describe how he's going to proceed with his selection of candidates. Anyway, Councilor Monahan.
Yes, thank you. And going forward now, we mentioned abatements. We obviously haven't voted on the budget completely yet, but for those out there now, you should go to the assessor's office or the website, check your card, make sure everything is correct. He did say, Mr. O'Donnell did say that the abatement, the information on that will be going out in different languages. He'll be going out with a mailing, but get ahead of it now, because I think February 1st is the date, last date that you can file. So get all your eggs in order now when the tax bill comes, so you'll know what you're talking about, and just make sure it's all updated, because I've had to do it on my own, that it was wrong. The card was wrong. Actually, I ended up paying more, but anyway, fix it, check it out. If you have any problems, you know, give one of us calls, but now you've got plenty of time to think about that, so when the tax bill does come, if you've got a problem with it, I know it's tough with the triple decker. Sometimes you end up going up a lot, and it hurts. It hurts. I understand that. But anyway, that's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilors, I've said it every night, I sincerely appreciate the attention to detail, the patience you've had, the questions that you've asked. The next person who sits here will appreciate working counselors like that. I would also like to thank the mayor, Mr. Clarkson, and his staff especially, and actually every department head, members of the boards and commissions who contribute to the city. Special thanks to Anne Marie Raymond, our interim auditor. Legislative Council has been here every night. It's been a team effort to review this. I do apologize for the 11:15 hour that we left on Monday evening. It was intentional, and as it happened, it worked out pretty well because it's now 7:15. So thank you very much, personally and professionally. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.